welcome to the 5th and final night of Create Good, live from the Build Studios here in New York City. We had such a great night last night with our Create Good Wellness event, where we had amazing conversations with Daphne Oz and Ilaria Baldwin from the Mom Brain podcast. We got a tidying demo from Marie Kondo, and we stretched it out with Trap Yoga Bay. If you missed it, you can check out last night's show at brit.co/creategood. And just know this, we want to hear from you, so share your comments on social media tonight using the hashtag #CreateGood. Now, tonight is Style Night, and we're going to be talking to women who are breaking new ground, defying stereotypes, and making bold moves in the worlds of fashion and beauty. The one thing they have in common, they are all about making women feel like their most beautiful selves. So let's get the night started. We can't kick off Style Night without celebrating the world of fashion. And joining me first is a woman who's changing the style game as we know it. Please welcome the CEO and co-founder of Rent the Runway, Jennifer Hyman. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. You're here.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can see you. That's important.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jen. How's it going?
It's great.
Yeah, you were just telling me you've had an amazing week this week.
Yeah, it's been one of our most exciting weeks ever. We're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And a week ago, we were on the front page of the business section of the New York Times, so that kind of started the week. We launched a big national partnership with WeWork yesterday so that our subscribers could drop off clothing they've already worn into a WeWork drop box and then immediately pick something new off our app. And we're actually having a traveling pop-up closet go to WeWorks all over the country so people can choose their next designer piece right away.
That's amazing. So obviously I'm a huge fan. I'm a subscriber. I'm sure a lot of these women here are, and those at home. But tell us a little bit about the concept and how it got started.
I think that as women, we want to wear as many things as possible, right? We want to use fashion to express ourselves. Fashion should be fun, and fashion should be a part of our own self-confidence and really our suit of armor that we put on before we go to an important meeting at work or we have that special date. And when you're limited to just buying things, you end up settling. You end up making the rational choice and choosing the black version of the dress because you'll wear it more times as opposed to the colorful printed piece that really expresses what you feel in your heart.
Unless you're me, in which case I only buy the colorful printed piece and never the black. But keep going. We're in New York. They like black here.
The concept behind Rent the Runway was, what if we just allow women to rent clothes? And we started off renting clothes for special occasions, and 2.5 years ago we launched a subscription so that women could rent for their everyday lives. And they're renting 120 days of the year, so they're renting for work and weekends and everything in between. And what we found is that the subscription really just gives people freedom.
It's like the ability to create whatever closet you want any week of the month. What are some of your most popular items besides dresses? Because I'm a subscriber, like I said, so there's sweatshirts, there's pants, there's jewelry, there's like fancy dresses, casual dresses. Do you have one type of clothing that women are renting most?
No, I think that what women want is every time they come to the site, they want to wear something new. So they're using Rent the Runway as a discovery platform for themselves, not just new brands, but like they want to try on new parts of their own personality, like new trends, things that they wouldn't have traditionally bought. You know, one of my favorite fun facts is that last spring, our most popular color on Rent the Runway was yellow.
Interesting. Like mustard or canary?
Canary, which is a color that people love to wear, but they wouldn't traditionally buy or invest in, especially for a designer piece. So it kind of just shows that she's willing to take risks, try new things. And what's interesting is that everything seems to work for a certain cohort of women, right? Like, you just have to figure out, who do we personalize this jacket to, and this will show up on your personal homepage, and this might be something that I wear, but you don't wear. So the more that we get to know about you, which we do because of the frequency with which you come to us, the more we're able to actually introduce you to fashion that you might not have known that you would even love, but now that you try it, you fall in love with it.
I think that's a really interesting point. You have so much data about 10 million women and their fashion. How are you using that data in non-traditional ways? Are you reporting that back to some of the designers? Are they making their jackets differently? Are they using canary yellow in their 2019 line?
Yeah, so there's two things. One is that we're using the data on clothing to go back to designers and help them alter how they manufacture in the first place, both to appeal to a wider demographic of customers, but also to make clothes that have higher quality, which is data that they just didn't have before. But also, we get this incredible amount of data on the customer. So for instance, we tend to know that someone's pregnant before she tells anyone in her life. We know that you were in New York this week for this conference and you're going back to San Francisco this weekend, because we know the context behind all the events you're going to. So you may have a style, right? But what you're gonna wear on a night out is different than what you're gonna wear on a Saturday when you're lounging around with your kids.
Right.
And we're able to use the contextual information we have about you to do a better job at personalizing.
You said something funny to me, I think it was a couple years ago, which was that, you know, you have so many, how many products do you have in your assortment?
We have 1 million now.
1 million, okay. So when I search for a cocktail dress that's purple, I get like 20 pages of results, and you try to serve me the best results that you know I'm gonna like on that first page. But as a woman, I'm like a little bit risk averse. I'm scrolling through every page. I just wanna make sure I see everything before I go back and make my final decision. Is that still happening on the site, or have like algorithms gotten better, or have you shortened the pagination to make that easier?
I think that there's a natural desire that women have to want to make sure that they've assessed all of their options. So the more options you give to us, the more we're going to analyze. But when you have the subscription and you're using it every single day, you realize that the preciousness of the one decision around the purple dress, even if it isn't the A++++, it'll be great, and then you can get another purple dress tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it actually reduces the friction behind every individual choice when you're renting. It's the same thing like listening to a song on Spotify. Do you really hem and haw, like, which Drake song do I really want to listen to? It's like you put one on, and if you don't like it, you skip to the next one.
Right.
Or
there are like 40 songs on his album, right?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Or you fall in love with something and you listen to it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So a platform like that, where it's unlimited, gives you that freedom to try and to discover. And fashion is supposed to be fun. And I think that for so long, it's been so rational and it's been so expensive. And I think that we're trying to bring the freedom and the fun back to something that should be this source of self-confidence and joy in women's life.
Do you buy clothes at all anymore?
I buy undergarments and pajamas and shoes for now.
Rent the Runway PJ edition coming soon?
Well, probably not the PJs, but
that would be awkward, huh?
More the shoes.
Yeah, no lingerie, please. So you are one of my peers, but also one of my mentors, one of my investors. You have been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I think you're more than that now. I mean, you're running this thing so well. What is one of the biggest mistakes that you see young entrepreneurs making?
One mistake is to fear that any bad decision will lead you down a path that you're not able to get out of. So people tend to catastrophize a situation, and they always think about the worst possible scenario. And I've learned that the worst possible scenario isn't actually that bad, and that people have a lot more resilience than they give themselves credit for. So the advice that I have is just to kind of go for it and jump into the deep end of the pool, and you'll figure out how to swim to the side, even if it takes you a few tries. So I think that the whole journey of entrepreneurship is becoming so comfortable with making a lot of different decisions really quickly, knowing a lot of those decisions are wrong, but knowing you're going to iterate them anyway and you're going to get to the right result.
You've also hired hundreds, if not thousands, of people at this point. How many people do you have working there now?
We have 1,500.
1,500. So over 10 years, you've hired thousands. For those who might not be entrepreneurs, but those who are growing their careers, what are some of the mistakes you see young, career-driven women making which could be prevented?
Well, given that my company is 70% women and our leadership is 80% women, I see women making a lot of really great choices when it comes to their careers. And I think that women, especially millennials and Generation Z, are speaking up. They're demanding the salaries that they deserve. They're demanding the opportunities that they deserve. And what I love and the sorts of people I hire are people that want outsized opportunities. So they want the opportunity that's a few years ahead of where their experience level is, even if it's scary, because that's the way that they're really going to challenge themselves and grow. They want to be in an environment where they can contribute an idea. And I think that to assess, when you're thinking about a job, to assess, is this a culture where anyone can have a great idea and implement that idea? That's very different than if it's a top-down, more hierarchical place to be.
Right. So you let them voice their opinions to you and give them an opportunity to try.
Yeah, it's the only way that a startup that's as disruptive as ours is going to grow. If the ideas are really coming from everywhere and everyone has that entrepreneurial spirit. So an example of this WeWork partnership, that was not a top-down partnership or a top-down thing that I came up with and now we executed it. It came from an idea from someone on our team, and it's going to change the whole company. The fact that customers all over the country are going to have this convenient way to return and immediately pick
their new items. Like the movie Dropbox now, right? Like it's like from the 90s.
I would love to replace the movie Dropbox. I just want to make getting a new outfit as convenient as getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
I love that. I'm ready for it. So let me know when you move out west for that.
Well, we are.
Well,
there's a lot in San Francisco.
Did it start already, though?
Yeah, it started yesterday.
I thought it was just, okay.
No, it's in 6 cities.
Well, then,
San Francisco being one of them.
I'm getting my new clothes this weekend. Okay, cool. When you look for new designers for Rent the Runway, you obviously have the best labels already, the well-known brands, the DVFs, the Philip Lims, all of that. When you're looking for new designers, what are the qualities you're looking for? What characteristics do they need to have?
Well, our customers love color. They love print. They love embellishment. They love everything you're wearing.
Tell me more, Jen.
You're wearing like 6 trends right now.
Thank you.
And our customers love that because it's about having fun. So we're definitely we're looking for designers that embody that, but we're also looking for the pieces in their line that embody that most. So every designer has editorial pieces, and often the retailers don't choose those pieces. They choose the rational navy, black, white piece to have that you're going to have a high sell-through rate on.
Right.
So we're very intentional with all of our brands of choosing the piece that is more out there, more editorial, more trend-driven, because that's what someone wants to rent as opposed to buy.
I love that. Speaking of that, there's actually another reason why we have Jen here with us tonight. Together, Brit & Co. and Rent the Runway are announcing an awesome new collaboration. It's a program called Fashion's Next, and we are going to launch new emerging designers to the masses every month throughout 2019. We'll be spotlighting one new emerging designer on Brit & Co., and we'll be promoting their very first collection, which will be carried on Rent the Runway. And actually, we have somebody here who's going to be one of our very first emerging designers. She is ethical fashion designer Autumn Adegba. Please give it up for Autumn. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Print, texture, color, embellish. I think she checks all of the boxes, don't you think, Jen?
And is the best brand representative.
I agree. I am wearing Autumn's top tonight as well, so I could rep her brand. But the funny story actually with Autumn is how we met and then how this became a topic of conversation with Jen. And so I got invited to come by Parsons last year. I met with the dean. He gave me a tour. It's a very cool school. Does anyone here go to Parsons? I think we have a few coming tonight. But and then on the way out, they tossed me this like catalog of some of the students' work. I would normally like not have time to look at that, but I was in a cab, I was browsing through, and I came across the most colorful page of the catalog, and it was Autumn's spotlight in the magazine. I went to her website, I emailed her through her contact me form, and no one ever responded. I was like, hi, I'm Brit from Brit & Co. I love you. Can we do a collaboration? I'm having like eyegasms looking at your website. and nothing. And I was like, this girl's too cool for me. Like, I'm clearly not cool. So then weeks later, I'm doing these Give It a Week challenges where I try something new every week of this year. And I decided to try pattern clashing. And this girl reaches out to me on Instagram, direct messages. She's like, hey, I'm a fashion designer in New York. I saw you're here. I'd love to dress you for your pattern clashing week. So Autumn, I was, the same day, I was like, well, listen, I'm going on the Today Show tomorrow. If you want to come to my hotel today at 5 p.m., you can bring something for me to wear. By the way, I reached out to you and you never responded. She was like, I never got that email. What is happening? So she comes by my hotel. She comes into my room. Like, she dresses me and styles me for this Today Show thing I'm doing the next day, which I ended up wearing her dress. Beautiful. Easter. It was a good segment. You can find it online. And then she was like, hey, yo, listen, I'm trying to build my brand. I'm building this whole business. Do you want to borrow a couple of my clothes? I was like, yes, I'm actually having dinner tonight with Jennifer Hyman, the founder of Rent the Runway. I'd love to show her your clothes. So I took a jacket. I met Jen for dinner. And the first thing you said to me was, what is that jacket you're wearing?
I was obsessed with it.
Yeah, and I said, funny story. I just met this amazing girl. She's like growing her business. And she was like, we have to figure out how to work with her. And she goes, better yet, let's work with 12 designers and we'll just launch one every month because Brit & Co, you guys love like encouraging young entrepreneurs, young creative women, and we love building brands and building like the next generation.
It's really hard to start a fashion business. And to get it out there and to get distribution, and it's really financially taxing. It takes so many years. And the ability to use the platform that we've already built at Rent the Runway to build brands that women are going to love, I think is just, it's going to be fun for us, but hopefully will be incredible for your business.
How do you feel about this, Autumn?
I'm blown away, honestly. You two, outside of the creative and artistic field that us women navigate in so easily, you guys are like such trailblazers in the world of entrepreneurs. And a lot of people don't understand that to have a fashion business, it's not all about the creative aspect. You have to know how to run a business. So while you are both beautiful, creative women, I'm the most inspired by your business savvy. So I'm thrilled to partner on this initiative.
And can you tell us a little bit about your line? What is the mission around everything that you do and make?
Sure. So my brand is called Autumn Adegbo. The tagline is culture, color, conscience. Culture, because we connect women cross-culturally via colorful and ethical fashion. Color, because we want to make sure that when a woman walks in the room, she's the bright spot of the room, so every piece is super colorful. And conscience, because we invest in women along our supply and distribution chains. First, we source fabric from living wage countries all over the world. Then we partner with female collectives in Africa who we train and pay fair trade wages to hand bead portions of the collection. Then we produce the garments in women-owned production facilities in the United States, investing in the Save the Garment District and Made in America clothing, and then partner with women to distribute the collection to their social networks. You guys have very large social networks.
This was the jacket I wore the night that I met Jen, actually.
And you can tell why I wanted this immediately to be up on Rent the Runway. I mean, this would be a bestseller.
The level,
best renter.
The best renter.
That was hand-beaded in Kenya. Yeah, hand-beaded in Kenya by women of the Maasai tribe.
Casually hand-beaded in Kenya. Did men ever touch your clothes throughout the whole manufacturing process? It's like so female. It's like all women who are making this, beading it, sewing it.
Yeah. Their husbands might work in the factory or something, but that's about it. Far as it goes.
I think what's incredible about your brand is that it is a brand that begs to be noticed, and it's for that confident woman who walks in the room and she wants people to look at her. There's no way that you could be a wallflower in this dress. And I think that that's really the goal, that everyone should feel like, beautiful enough, confident enough for the moments that are important in their life, that they can walk into the room and have that feeling of confidence and compliments that come along with it.
And I think one of the coolest parts is that you know, it's not inexpensive to have to get these clothes made and embellished. And so to the end consumer, it's a few $100s for a piece. And maybe a young college girl can't afford that, but through Rent the Runway now she can. And so it's making, you know, your business grow, but it's also empowering these young women to follow you and to wear you. And maybe one day when they're running their own companies and they're being boss ladies, they can buy everything that you offer. So I do have some fun questions before we wrap up. So I want to know for each of you, what is your favorite fashion trend for fall and your least favorite?
Let's see. I'm super into Bohemian Prairie right now, which is like there's this whole cowgirl chic that is in that you should get on top of.
I'm all over it.
So that's a trend I'm really into, especially because I'm pregnant and a lot of
congratulations
the looks are forgiving. Trend I'm not into. I don't know. There's almost never a trend that I won't at least try. That's the whole fun of Rent the Runway. Just like trying it out. If you don't like it, whatever. You never have to do it again.
I love that. What about you?
So when I design, I think about that New York woman. You know, you see her walking down the street and you just can't help. You don't want to look, but you can't help to look at her. Or you see her on the subway and she's just so chic. So for the fall, it's all about an amazing statement coat and an incredible booty. I'm not having the most luck finding that in the market right now.
Those are incredible booties.
Well, thank you. Unfortunately, I got these a year ago, and I've been looking for a new pair, and it hasn't been so easy. So
maybe you'll have to make one.
Exactly.
Do you do that on weekends where you're like, I could use a new coat. Guess I'll make one.
Sometimes. I did that with this look.
That's amazing. Well, we are so excited to launch your collection next year. Stay tuned, everybody, for the date on that. We'll have more information coming soon on the Fashion Next program. And also, happy birthday to Autumn.
Happy birthday!
37. I couldn't let you go without saying that. We're so excited for everything. Jen, congratulations on everything you've done, and congratulations on being #2.
Thank you.
All right, up next, our VP of Editorial, Annette, is chatting with 3 women who are challenging the standards for fashion and beauty. So stay tuned.
Hi. Well, if you haven't noticed, representation is having a huge moment in style right now. People with different sized bodies and skin tones are finally seeing themselves, from the models you see on the runway, to the women you see on the cover of magazines, to the makeup you buy in the store. Our next guests are 3 women who are challenging what the style industry thinks of as beautiful. They're determined to create a world where beauty and fashion can be celebrated by everyone, no matter their size or skin color. Please welcome Director of Curve at Muse Models, Becca Thorpe. Body positive activist, model, and author, Charlie Howard. And beauty expert and founder of Tinted, Deepika Muyala. Thank you, ladies. All right, let's get into it. Becca, I wanted to ask you, when you entered the beauty industry as a model in the mid-90s, it was a totally different world.
Completely.
Now you run an agency division that represents curvy models. Tell us what inspired you to represent these women.
First of all, thank you. This is so much fun to be able to do this with you tonight and talk about this kind of amazing thing and all the change in the industry. I was a former curve model for about 15 years in the industry, and boy, has it changed a lot. Worked with some amazing people and great photographers and great people, and I think having that knowledge of having that experience of being a curve model and knowing what that was like, it was very easy for me to be like, you know what, I want to have an agent the way that I didn't have one, and being able to be given the opportunity to be able to open up a curve division with Muse has been a dream come true, to represent top talent like Charlie Howard, and to really kind of to showcase beauty and size in a completely different way. So, you know, it's made all the difference in the world, especially over the past couple of years.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, Charlie, you are a Muse curvy model and work with Becca.
Yes.
But back in 2015, you were not part of that division. You were working as a model, and you wrote an open letter to your former agency after they fired you for being out of shape.
I was a size 2.
And I'd love to read a quick excerpt from that letter right now, because it's incredible.
Wow.
I refuse to feel ashamed and upset on a daily basis for not meeting your ridiculous, unattainable beauty standards. The more you force models to lose weight and be small, the more designers have to make clothes to fit our sizes, and the more young girls are being made ill. It's no longer an image I choose to represent.
Amen.
Hell yeah. Now tell me, what were you going through as a model during that period when you wrote that letter? And what good has come from that anger that came out in that letter so many years ago?
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago now, because this was like 2015, but it feels like such a long time ago because the industry has changed so much.
Yeah.
But back in 2015, I was working as a regular straight size model. I know that I'm not, you know, the traditional curvy model now, but I've got double Ds, and I'm like telling everyone I've got like double Ds and I've got a curvy shape. But back then, I was just a straight size model, a US size 2, and like tens of thousands of other girls trying to make it. And it's such a competitive world anyway, you know? But yeah, I was working very little, like most models do.
Right.
And then I was dropped when I was a size 2, and I wrote this Facebook letter. Muse then found me, sent me over to America, and since then I've been working as a curve model and trying to represent, you know, the US 6s, 6 to 8s, like so many of us are here, and trying to prove that you can be a model regardless of your size.
And what do you feel like is the good that's come of it? Do you feel like maybe you helped spur some of this change to even more woke heights?
It's just so weird, like, you know, curve models didn't really exist. Well, they did exist. Obviously, Becca was doing it in the 90s, but it wasn't at the level that it is now.
Social media, though.
Yeah, without social media.
Right.
And now it just feels like this tremendous wave of change that's happened.
Yeah.
And it's been really exciting to be part of that, and I feel very honoured to be part of that.
Yeah.
I set up a charity called the All Women Project about 2 years ago, and that was kind of at the start of the body positive movement, just as it was becoming mainstream on Instagram. And even since then, it's just been amazing to see women, you know, finally start to be recognised.
Great. Deepika, hello. You've made a huge impact on the beauty world with your YouTube videos. Some of you might know the red lipstick concealer trick. That is pretty famous now. Here she is.
Famous, infamous, one of those. Yeah.
What's happening here? Can you tell us a little bit?
It's crazy. Like, I didn't actually, like, I am so not a makeup artist.
Yeah.
I'm just a girl from Texas who loved makeup. And so a makeup artist did this on me, and it blew my mind because I have really dark circles, as you can see there. And it just, like, it color corrects. It color corrects the dark circles. No concealer did that for me. Amazing. So I used this red lipstick, and it was a beauty hack. And so, you know, it was clickbait without me realizing it was clickbait. It was like me with no makeup, and then it was like, you know,
beautiful,
all color corrected. Yeah.
Well, you've taken this success and turned it into an incredible new company called Tinted. Yeah. Tell me what's behind this passion project for you.
So I've been doing like the influencer thing for the past 3 years now, and social media is like an amazing thing and also a terrifying thing. And I think I've been fortunate enough to be sort of the token brown girl in like so many campaigns from beauty brands, and I feel very grateful for that. But this idea of tokenism just kind of like drove me crazy, and this idea of having a positive conversation in the beauty space, like I just didn't feel like it existed. Right. And you know, I was seeing on my own personal page like a lot of positivity, people being like, we're rooting for you, keep going. Like it was nice to finally see someone who looked like me represented, because I didn't have that growing up. I never saw a South Asian woman in the media ever. Right. And so I wanted to just build something bigger than myself, and I wanted it to be not just about my skin tone and show the range and the spectrum of skin tones and talk about the hues that we don't always see in the media. So Tinted is a centralized hub. We say it's for every shade in between, and it's a home for the underrepresented. And it started as a beauty convo, but it's now turned into something so much bigger. It's really exciting.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Now this is a question for all of you. So we've talked a lot about social media tonight. What do you think the role of social media has played in beauty and fashion, for good and for bad?
Where to begin?
Carly, why don't you start? Because honestly, I'm so inspired by your Instagram, all your photos of you just being so proud of your body.
Be naked, yeah.
Yes!
Yes.
And then tons of like amazing fans chiming in and talking to you directly.
It's so weird because, you know, if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't be signed to Muse. So it's been a blessing for me. And even now, like in terms of brands, like brands now look at models based on their personality and who they are and the brand, the image that they choose to represent. So for me as a model, I think it's a really positive thing. Sure. However, you know, there is obviously a competitive side to it. There's, you know, the whole numbers thing, which can be quite maddening sometimes.
It's like a new way to compete in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Right.
But I am really grateful for it because I, you know, wouldn't be in New York now.
That's right. You would have never met Becca.
I would never have met Becca.
It's a tool, I think, that obviously can create good and can create a lot of just in-between yuckiness.
Yeah,
I think if we're super honest. But you know, I've changed the way I've scouted because of Instagram, and I think that with all these good things that have happened, that I think it's really important to remember that now more than ever, your voice is just as strong as your looks. And I think that that's a really powerful thing as a woman to remember. Yes. And regardless of numbers and regardless of, oh, does it look good in the feed? You know, the social media definitely has changed the fashion industry at large. It will continue to do so. But what are we doing with it? I think someone just posted something about something going viral about what is your message on these influencers. I don't know if you saw it. It happened yesterday, but it was such an interesting question. It's what are you using your platform for?
Right.
How are you using your voice aside from your looks? So I think that as women, I think that's so refreshing to kind of remember as well, you know?
Yeah, no, I think the positive side is that anyone from anywhere, no matter where you came from in life, has an opportunity to create a brand, a platform for themselves, and nothing else matters. And actually, your chances of sort of creating a brand are heightened for the first time ever if you do stand out and kind of differentiate yourself and create a niche by showcasing exactly who you are. The more authentic you are and the more true you are to who you are, you will stand out and build a brand quicker and faster and stronger. Totally. The negative side of it is what you're seeing on Instagram is not always reality. And it is so crazy, and I think we all know it, is you see this hyperbolized version of life and everyone looks so perfect and they're like slaying and smizing and all the things, and it's like the mental health and the actual sanity of what they see is not always reality, and I think that's the part that I hope really, really changes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Becca, you were in the industry. You've seen it change through your modeling, through being an agent. Compared to what you experienced prior when you were in the modeling industry as a model, have you noticed that curvy models are more prevalent in the fashion industry now? Obviously, you probably have because you're representing them. But also, what barriers do you think need to sort of be broken down?
Twofold question. You know, I definitely think that 15, 20 years ago, what you were seeing in the industry is definitely not what you're seeing now.
Right.
You're having a lot more inclusivity. Brands are catching on to that not only for a money-making aspect, but to have a platform as a company and to listen to your consumers, I think is a really, really valuable thing that companies are now being able to do. With that, obviously, comes great responsibility. You were speaking about the barriers that we need to kind of overcome still. A lot of people, this is such a weird question. Some people will be like, we need more on the runway, we need more in commercials. A lot of that is actually happening now. So I think that we really need to change the questions that we're asking to be able to say, listen, this is all, instead of knocking it down and being like, it's not good enough and it's not this. What needs to happen, we ourselves can change the conversation and say, this is amazing, and this company is now doing up to size 24, and this is inclusive, and that needs to be worked on. So I think changing the conversation, obviously, and the questions that were asked about that kind of stuff is to me, in my opinion, just how far we've come, actually, in the conversation.
I love that.
So.
Great.
Yeah.
And Charlie, similarly, you have been on both sides of, like, you started out before your letter in that sort of starve yourself, unhealthy side of modeling, and now you're in this more inclusive side of modeling. Now that you're on the other side, tell us how it feels really different from before.
Well, again, going back to the time frame, even since I've become a model, it now feels really strange when you go to set and there aren't models of color, there aren't varying sizes. It's a really weird feeling. And even when I go back to Europe, I think they still have such a backwards idea of what modeling is. In New York, it's so diverse now, and it's really strange if you don't see, diversity. Over there, I'm like the curviest girl they're going to use,
right.
which is like crazy. But yeah,
that's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Deepika, you're you're just through this new line and what you're working on, your passion project, you're sort of becoming one of the faces of this new movement of inclusive beauty that's like popping right now. Like we've got Fenty, all these incredible brands, and now we have Tinted. So how is this sort of mission change the way that you represent yourself in all your projects that you work on, YouTube and all your socials?
What I hope is that it's not about me. Like I hope my goal and hope with launching Tinted is that it changes and it's not about my singular page as an influencer, and we're able to showcase women from, again, like curvy women and mixed women and all the ranges of everyone, and make it about them. And to me, like my passion for my own personal page and my influencer created content, it's sort of just, it all goes back to how much I can benefit Tinted, because that to me is a larger conversation that involves so many more people. And I think that the more people that use their platform to create something bigger than themselves, the more change we're gonna see. So it's really important.
Amazing.
And I think one thing, you didn't ask this, but I have a thought about the word inclusive. It's like, I just feel like it's such a buzzword right now, right? Like everyone's like, we're an inclusive brand. That should just be the standard. Like, why is that why is that even a term? Like, there will be a day where it's not even like we're an inclusive brand. We're just a brand that exists, and that shouldn't even be a conversation point. Right. But I think we have to have this point in time in life where you are this, and we're talking about this to get to that point. So it is a positive, but it's also like, come on, like.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what Becca was saying. It's just like, let's change that conversation. Let's just reframe it.
Right.
All right. So I want to ask all of you this is kind of a fun one. Think about like a moment or a person, whether it's a celeb or a model, or a moment like a fashion show, a magazine cover, where that you really felt like sort of grabbed us and pulled us along with them and helped shape this new fashion and style world. Becca, I know you have a great answer for this one.
I think, in true form, Edward Enninful has changed the game with British Vogue. I think that he is changing the conversation. That's why we're here. We're changing the conversation. So stereotype keywords aren't, He has done such an incredible job this year of going in, being the new editor-in-chief, and really rocking the beep out of that magazine. But, you know, he was the first one to use a curve. He used Charlie Howard in his first issue with Pat McGrath. I mean, how amazing that is to know that beauty doesn't really care what size you are.
Right.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven.
He is the standout in my opinion, and then to go on and continue to use women of all shapes and sizes and voices in that magazine has been key for me and so much fun to watch, you know.
It's amazing. Charlie, what about you?
For me, it's beauty brands, and it's watching beauty brands grow and become so diverse. So Fenty Beauty has obviously been like such a trendsetter from day one.
Yeah.
Glossier, again, like the minute I saw those images, I was like, I want to buy this because I see women of all different shapes, sizes, colours. And Teen Vogue, I think, are very diverse in their covers. And I want to read more because of it.
It's funny how like seeing yourself or represented somewhere makes you want to read it or buy it more.
It does. I think that, you know, we used to have this idea that if you used a bigger model, people didn't want to buy it. And that isn't true at all. And I think brands are now starting to cotton onto that fact, and they realise that diversity can sell and does sell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Deepika, who's yours? Or what's yours?
I mean, there's so many, but I think the most powerful thing that in recent years, seeing a mixed woman become royalty, Meghan Markle at her wedding, I think was just such a powerful thing to witness. And her makeup style being so simplified and not glam, and everything about it just being so classy. And for girls to grow up now and see a mixed woman it just when I think about it, I get chills, and I think she's just handling it in such class and such dignity that I think it's going to change the future generations forever.
I love
really
Meghan
cool.
Markle.
I love her.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a good.
we all love Meghan Markle, let's be real. Love her. All right, we reached out to our social following, our social fans, and asked them for questions for you ladies. And it's kind of amazing how they all have such a similar theme. And that is, what is your advice to help me feel happier in my own skin or at my own size? What would your advice be to those gals?
Should I?
Yeah, go for it.
So I've been following something called body neutrality for about a couple of months now. And for me, it's really interesting because rather than body positivity, which focuses on the outside, body neutrality is about accepting that you're never going to be happy 100%. You're never going to be perfect. But it's just about finding inner peace with yourself, realizing that you can only do your best. And as long as you feel good on the inside, that's going to radiate on the outside. As corny as that sounds, but it's true.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
Like, cut yourself some slack. Like,
Right.
You know, it's taken a long time to kind of obtain solid confidence, I think. And I think that don't let anybody rush you about that. And it's a great question from the audience, because it's a real thing that's happening with a lot of places bombarding with us with different kind of things. But, you know, I think that just cut yourself some slack. Like, the confidence comes in these key moments, and you'll know what that right thing is. You'll feel it, and then you'll look back, and that's the special thing, being able to look back and being like, I got that. And it's like that confidence click. And I see it with models daily. It's like they can walk into a room completely different than when they first walked in. That's really encouraging. And that's the most rewarding thing that I get to see and get to do. But that comes with time, you know, and going through business in different ways, you know.
Yeah, ditto, retweet that. But then also, like, I feel like knowing you're not alone is really important. Like, you might see all over, again, the gram, you'll see one thing of everyone feeling like their lives are perfect. I promise you, there's nobody who is 100% confident with themselves. It's just not a thing. You adult and you evolve and you start to get more comfortable with things. And it's just so crazy that the things that I tried so hard masking about myself as a kid are my favorite features about myself now. And I think that goes back to the media. Like, I didn't like the features that made me South Asian. My big old brows, I had a unibrow and things, and I was just like, But now I want to grow them out and make them fluffy and like big eyes and things like that. These are the things that make me stand out and unique and have helped me develop a career. So I think you just figure it out with time, and you just grow up, and you'll get there.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us for this conversation. Thank you. Give them a hand. And up next, Britt will be chatting with actress, conservationist, and designer Nikki Reed. Stay tuned.
We couldn't celebrate Style Night without one of the most stylish women in Hollywood. You may remember her from a tiny little movie franchise called Twilight. Now she's transformed her passion for fashion into an eco-friendly, sustainable lifestyle line called Bayou with Love that's not only beautiful, but good for the planet. Please welcome the incredible Nikki Reed. Hello.
So sweet. Hi.
I have so many.
Thank you for having me.
I have so many things I want to get to tonight.
And I talk a lot, so
great. We're gonna get there.
I'll jump in.
Okay, great. So the first thing is, obviously we know you as an actress, but you have this deep love for the environment. Where did that come from?
You know, I imagine it came from my journey with like health and wellness, and I think everything starts with your own personal relationship to things. And so maybe it was like 8 or 9 or 10 years ago, something in that range, I woke up one day and I decided I was gonna get it together and lead a healthier life and make different decisions. And I think the evolution of that led to my understanding of the interconnectedness of all of it. You know, it's what we do to ourselves affects everything else. And so that was my journey with it.
And how did that turn into the lifestyle brand that you have today? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I was pregnant, and
I've been there. Twice.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Oh, twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Congrats.
You have more to come.
Congrats. Hopefully. And I wanted to find products that Google wasn't providing me with. I was doing like a deep dive in Google and looking for organic pajamas and chemical-free this, and you know, the things that you start thinking about when you know you're going to become a mom, which, by the way, segue into that, it's unfortunate that we don't think about those things until we have another human that we have to think about. Like, why are we not talking about that prior to?
Do you think men ever think about this? Because they don't ever have humans?
That's
just like throwing it out there, but
I'm married to someone who, if he could have grown a human, he would have. So he's very conscious in that area. But that's a good point you're raising. I think the more we talk about it, the more they will.
That's true.
But I think my journey with pregnancy led me to the desire to create this, and Bayou was sort of like birthed from that, pun intended.
Where does that name come from? Bayou with Love.
My husband grew up on the Louisiana Bayou.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So-
have you been there with him a
Oh,
lot?
many
like,
times,
is that
many times.
okay?
Yeah, we actually bought a piece of land on the bayou for his foundation, which is the Ian Somerhalder Foundation, and the name always stuck with me. And I remember years ago thinking, like, I've got to do something with this name because I just thought it was so beautiful and it really resonated with me. And at one point it was like, is this going to be the name of our child? And anyway, it became
Bayou? That
the
would be
name
a
of
cool
a different
name.
child I have, which is
Your company.
Our company, yeah.
Yeah. So you just launched a brand new jewelry collection, and brides everywhere are going crazy for it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So Bayou started with this all-encompassing idea of creating not just focusing on fashion, but also bringing together other
Like the most gorgeous rings ever.
Thank you. Bringing together other companies that focused on US-made products that were also ethical and sustainable and good for you and good for the planet. And I also really focus on female-founded companies. And so thank you, by the way, tonight for and your whole series for really highlighting badass women that are doing their part. And oh gosh,
Is that you?
I also
Yes, I see
also
the lips.
I'm modeling my
Yeah.
my own jewelry. But we started with this dream of bringing together other brands as well, because I thought if I have this platform, if I have this channel, I should be using this as a way to highlight what other women are doing as well, other ethical and local companies. So then, 6 months after Bayou was created and we launched, I got a phone call
by the
from
way?
Dell. So this is just over a year ago.
Oh my
We're a
God.
baby company.
Okay.
I got a phone call from Dell, the tech company,
Yes.
Dell.
I
And
lived
they
in
said-
Austin for a minute.
Oh, you know?
Yeah,
That's
I know.
their hub. So they said, we have all of this gold that's been extracted from the motherboards of our recycled tech, and you're sort of a voice in the sustainable arena, and we don't know exactly what to do with this gold, but we feel like you might know, and what do you think? And I hung up the phone with them, and I...
They're like, I want to give you gold. Will you take it?
No, it was like, what can we do that's creative, but also I think when it comes to sustainability, you have to do something that turns heads, because first of all, it's a saturated market, but second of all, the word, just that word itself, it's sort of like 10 years ago, the organic food industry. Like if you walked into a restaurant 10 years ago and you said, I want organic broccoli on my plate, people would go, oh, you're one of those.
Yeah.
But now people understand and they respect
Take it for
that
granted.
we care about absolutely. We care about our bodies. We care about what's going in our bodies. We want to eat local and we go to farmers markets and things like that. And I think the word, sustainable as it relates to fashion, for a long time, people didn't really know what to do with that. And so in order to not only get people to engage, but feel safe changing the way that they consume, I think that you have to do something that turns heads. And Dell, when they said, we have this gold, but we're not entirely sure, like, could we maybe create belt buckles, or could we, like, there were, because I was only working in fashion and apparel.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like we should launch a jewelry leg of the company. I think that this is the direction. And so all of our jewelry, I'm proud to say, is all made from 100% recycled tech from the motherboards of Dell computers and really any recycled tech.
That's so incredible.
Now with our engagement line, we're using all cultivated diamonds. Do you guys know what cultivated diamonds are? So I didn't either. I'm learning too. Cultivated diamonds are diamonds that are grown, they're bioidentical diamonds. So for a long time, the diamond industry didn't want to acknowledge them and wanted to call them man-made diamonds and lab diamonds and synthetic diamonds, and words that would naturally turn you off from that type of stone. Truthfully, they're 100% diamonds. They're bioidentical diamonds, and they're grown from diamond seeds. And we're using diamonds that are actually grown above ground using solar energy.
There are diamond seeds in the world?
Yeah, so it's like little.
Where do you buy diamond seeds? I will plant some.
You don't. You buy cultivated diamonds grown from
I
these
want a
little
diamond
particles
seed.
that.
Okay.
Well, if you have the technology, I'm sure you can, and maybe you'll make them in your backyard. So it's very exciting because this, to me, was so inspiring. The thought that we can create something that's beautiful and luxurious and also good for the planet, and merging this world of like fashion and tech and sustainability. It was just really exciting for me because it's not the future, it's now, right? Like, we don't need to be mining for things anymore. We don't need to, that's like an old,
because that takes too much energy, is that why?
Well, if you want to talk about, how muddied it all gets when you're talking about ethical labor and what's happening in the world. You know, if we throw away $60 million of gold in cell phones each year in landfills.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Why are we mining for gold?
We throw
an
that
abundance.
away.
Oh yeah, we're in the wrong business, girl. We should be in like the landfill.
Can I get in touch with Dell to send me some gold and diamond seeds? Because I feel like this is a great new Britain Co. line too.
Exactly.
How has being an environmental activist changed the way you live? So clearly you are probably wearing nothing but sustainable clothing and jewelry, but are there other parts of your life that have been impacted?
Yeah, I don't know. Sort of everything. Once you, it's a domino effect. Once you start thinking in this way, you start questioning all the decisions you make. Like, do I have to drive to work when I technically could ride my bike or walk? Or do I have to, like, you go to the grocery store and you look at the millions of like little plastic bags and how we individually bag each plum that we buy, and you go, do they have to go in plastic bags? And if you're putting things in your recycle bin, do I have to put them in another bag to go in my recycle bin, or can I just put them in a cardboard box? And you start just thinking about you go to brush your teeth and you're like, do I have to run the water for the whole 5 minutes that I'm brushing my teeth?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I sort of live with the philosophy of, first of all, we're all a part of the degradation of our planet in some capacity. Like, we're all using toilet paper. Sorry, that's the weirdest thing to say, but it's true. We're all
water
and we're flying on airplanes and we're doing things. We're all contributing. So it's about the little choices that you can make every chance you get to just be an active participant in the health of our planet, and also selfishly too, because you want to have a planet for your children and for your future. And
right. It changes when you're a mom. It definitely
you start
changes.
Thinking about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
The water in Africa, where they were going to have no more water. They literally were going to put a stake in the ground in South Africa and say, sorry, we don't have water anymore. And then everyone started conserving, and finally it worked, but it had to.
But why does
it took
it
that
have
moment
to
where they had to say, guys, we're really going to turn off all of the water.
Right.
Because there just isn't any anymore.
Right.
Like,
so
we're at
what
that
are we
point in
gonna,
time. It's crazy.
And
that
if
more
we don't
people
start
are
talking about things like they're a reality, I mean, if we still have people saying things like climate change don't exist, I mean, there's no hope. So it takes all of us getting it together.
Who's saying those things?
Yeah,
I don't know who you're talking about.
It's immediate. I mean, it's immediate. There are certain things that we shouldn't be arguing about in that capacity. It should be like, this is a no-brainer, and this is what we're doing. I mean.
So your husband, Ian Summerhaller, some of you might know him, he also likes to give back. Yeah. Is this something that drew you guys together? Is it a shared passion of yours to work on these things together?
Yeah, so we actually met, he's fabulous, by the way.
I think he's fabulous, but I'm married, so.
If you have a second.
Don't worry about me.
It's okay. I share him with everyone.
Okay, great.
We met like, I don't know, 10 or 15, well, we've been together a while now, so maybe 15 years ago. And we were sort of friends and connected through philanthropy, and we would chat every once in a while just on email or through friends about different things we were doing. I worked in animal rescue, and I still do, and that is and was a huge passion of mine. And he started a foundation, and they were focusing on that, many, many years ago. He started his foundation, and we just, we kept in touch through the years. And then, anyway, we don't have to get into the whole story. But
it was the vampires. It was the vampires that brought you together.
That's it. I was like, you were a vampire too. We should get married.
Like we were both vampires. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's it, in a nutshell.
I feel like that's probably right. All right, it is style night tonight. So how would you describe your own personal style, and how has that evolved over the years? And as being a mom too, because mine are 2 and 3, so yours is 1. So does that change?
Is that different? Is 2 and 3?
Oh yeah,
it's like
1 to 2
from 1
is the worst year ever. You're in for like the thick
no,
of it
it's
right now.
the best.
Oh, okay. Talk to me at 2.
Style is ever evolving. I don't know. Style is like, it's part. I don't know about you, but for me, it's like part of your story. My style changes as I change. And
what are you into right now? Anything?
Clearly,
exciting?
I'm into
like metallic,
crop tops and baggy pants. You know what I'm really into is finding things and repurposing them, like only shopping for the most part, are trying to incorporate vintage pieces, or and that's also part of why, you know, the pieces that we create, not to bring it back to Bayou, but as part of our line, I want pieces to go with your story. So it's not about creating a piece that's like a trend that's going to disappear in 5 minutes. I want pieces that are going to last a lifetime, that you can pass down, and that's how I feel about clothing too. I mean, most of what I love, my greatest inspiration is my mom, and my 15-year-old self would kill me for saying that, but it's true. You know, when you're a kid and your mom's like, you wear this or buy this.
Your fashion inspiration or just inspiration?
Well, both.
Really?
But we're talking about fashion too.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom and I are super close.
I love that.
Yeah.
We're close, but I would just, she's not my fashion inspiration.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, maybe not her current self.
Yeah.
But never. Okay.
Yeah. But speaking of,
Okay.
she wore some things back in the day when I was growing up. I was like, Mom.
And now you're wearing them.
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Like ruffles on her sleeves
what
and
are you
fringe
talking
skirts.
about?
It was really crazy. So what's like one of the most embarrassing fashion trends you remember from your past?
I was just showing someone a photo, which you might even have the photo, but I was thinking of all the things that I did that was totally embarrassing, and I realized socks and jellies.
Wow.
Because everything else I did that was kind of embarrassing, I also kind of love again. Like tube tops, I was gonna say tube tops, but then I went, maybe I'm kind of feeling like having a tube top moment again.
This is the most Blossom hat I've ever seen. Did you guys watch Blossom? Did you watch Blossom?
So the way, yeah, of course.
Obviously.
This is a very, the way that I used to match things was, I would say, well, this has blue, and this has blue, and those have blue, so this matches.
Right, and you want your feet to be cold. So of course you should wear socks with sandals. Yeah.
Who would wear jellies without socks?
What is this, a necklace?
No, that is a flower clip that I used to clip on myself. Not much has changed, by the way. I still do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about the fact that you are a new mom, and you've talked about anxiety, just becoming a new mom and all those things. How has that impacted your experience? Does it change the way that you live day to day?
I think what you're referring to is I write a lot, I talk a lot. When I write on Instagram, it always tells me you're out of room, and those things, like imagine me on Twitter, it's a disaster.
You run out of room on Instagram?
Yeah, all the time.
I didn't know that was possible.
Oh yeah, I have to save things in my notes and then delete sentences because
people write like poems on Instagram.
Well,
what are you writing, girl?
Triple poems. Oh yeah,
that's amazing.
I wrote something that I was thinking about. You know, we're very private with our daughter, and that's just where we're at right now. That's where we're at in the moment. That might change at some point. For now, that's what makes us feel good. But I still love connecting with the sort of global mama community because that community really helped support me. I think it's about being vocal, asking questions, opening up a dialogue in areas that for a long time felt uncomfortable for people or were totally taboo. I love that people are now talking about being able to nurse in public. I love that, you know, I feel like there was so much shame, mom shame, for such a long time. So I love that this is the time, I feel very fortunate that this is the time I got to have a child when we're kind of cracking this open and everyone's talking about everything. And so I'm still like navigating my relationship with social media and being a mom because we keep a lot of things private, but I'm figuring out how to communicate with all the mamas that I love talking with virtually. And I was talking about the fact that when you're pregnant, they want to tell you that everything is going wrong all the time.
On the internet?
No.
Just all the moms?
No. Sorry, maybe I wasn't
Who's
clear.
telling you
like
that?
the medical industry.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Like WebMD.
No, I literally mean like going into your doctor.
the OB.
Something's always wrong.
I'm like, the internet? Yes.
The internet tells you everything. Don't ever Google anything.
I don't Google. When I was pregnant, I Googled everything, and I thought I was going to die like almost every day. So,
that's what it's
like. But the community of moms that I met on the internet assured me it was okay.
Right, that you weren't going to die.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, like, this has all happened since the beginning of time, and like, it's totally normal pregnancy.
Yeah, and the business of being born and talking about natural birth and really like trusting yourself and your intuition and reconnecting with that part of ourselves that we've kind of disconnected from for so long. Or maybe it's because there isn't such an openness around it, or there wasn't for such a long time, that there's been like a misunderstanding within our own bodies about this stuff. And I really had to balance trusting my body and my intuition with fear that you're plagued with when every time you go in somewhere or Google something or whatever, it's like, this is an emergency, you're gonna die, or your baby's gonna die, or like just something horrible all the time. And funny enough, all the things that I was told were gonna go wrong actually went right, and all the things that, it was the opposite, you know, and all the things that I thought I wasn't gonna have a struggle with were challenging, so.
And do you find that now you are able to cope with having a 1-year-old that's living in the world, and are you still facing anxieties because it's alive now, or like I find myself being more anxious that it's out of me. I felt like when it was in me,
you could protect it.
Yeah, like it couldn't really go anywhere.
I like that you're still calling your child an it.
It. We actually had the same name for our kid, but I changed it, so you got to own it. You're welcome. But okay.
Thank you so much for that.
I hope there are more kids. I'm excited to see how that changes for you once you have 2. But speaking of, what are the other milestones happening for you right now in your life?
In life?
Yeah.
Life milestones?
Life milestones.
Well, now we're in baby mode, so that's all I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about like teeth and like nursing with teeth and all that stuff. Those are milestones. Well, I launched a company just a year ago and became a mom, so everything is kind of, up like wacky right now. I mean, we're on a plane every other day, and we're building and growing something that I love and care so much about, and then I've got this little human that I love and care so much about. So that's my whole world right now.
And what's your dream for, let's say, 5 years from now? What do you think you're doing?
Well, obviously, I've poured everything and all of my passion and love into Bayou. So I hope that we're creating more for, it takes the demand, right? So it takes people being really excited about sustainable fashion and making this a priority for them, and asking questions when they go to buy things like, is this local? Is this ethical? Is it sustainable? Is it chemical free? What am I putting on my body? What am I putting in my body? It takes people asking those questions to create that demand. So I'm really excited to be on this journey right now. I think it's not the future. I think it's now.
It's right where you need to be. Thank you so much, Nikki Reed. We really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Give her a hand.
Thanks, guys.
This has been such a fun week, and to wrap it all up, we've actually put together some of our favorite moments from the last 5 days. Check it out.
I'm staring at the ceiling, the clock, it won't stop ticking.
Don't be afraid to be curious and learn more, but also be a leader. If you have an idea, talk about it.
Follow the gut and listen harder so that you can do more.
Give yourself the permission to evolve.
And I also want to do something in business, maybe have my own business one day, like Brit & Co.
And I don't want to fight myself, no.
DJ.
That means the things that you say, the things that you speak become your reality.
You're resilient. Like, the mother of all invention is necessity.
This is important, this needs to be talked about, but no one's having fun talking about it, so let's make jokes about it.
Don't be afraid of the fear, just be like, hey boo, let's like have coffee and like work it out.
But at the end of the day, the kids are gonna be asleep and you're gonna go back, you're gonna like lie down on your pillow and think, we made it.
Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I can't pick my favorite night. None of this could have been possible without the amazing team here at the Build Studios. Give it up for them. We're like one big happy family now. And thanks to all of you and all of you for spending the week with us here at Create Good. We hope you've been inspired to take action, create something new, or just go out there and chase those dreams. Make sure to share what you loved about tonight's show on social media using the hashtag #CreateGood. And if you missed any of our programming this week, you can find every episode online at brit.co/creategood. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next year.